What is going on, everybody? AHS Rules back again with another video, and we're here with a video I've had to wait a couple weeks to make. I guess you can even say a couple months to make, but I am here to do it today. And it is me reacting to my predictions at the very beginning of the 2023-24 NBA season for the award winners, as well as something that's a little special to me, and that I had my own awards outside of the NBA awards. I called it the AHS Awards for the NBA. I desperately need to come up with a better name for that, but for now, they are the AHS Awards. So in this video, I will be reacting to my predictions that I made at the beginning of the season, as well as giving out the awards for the AHS Awards in the NBA. So this is a half and half video nonetheless. And I will say, I kinda did okay. Let's backtrack that. I got one NBA award prediction right, but the nominees, on some of them I did good, some of them I did bad. There's only one thing that in my mind I was like, what the hell was I on? And we'll get to that when we get to it. So starting off for the NBA award portions, the one that I predicted correctly, and it would have been very difficult to get this one wrong, but that was Rookie of the Year. I picked Victor Wembanyama. Everyone's been hearing about this guy for years and years. It would have been almost impossible. The only way he wouldn't have got this award is if he did not meet the games played criteria, but I predicted it correctly. I also predicted Chet at 2, which that was also the case, but I did have Scoot Henderson at 3. It ended up being Brandon Miller. Scoot just had an up and down year, where Brandon Miller, I'll give credit to, because a lot of people are saying the Hornets made the wrong decision and whatnot, but as of right now, it kind of looks like they made the right one. So there is that. Now, Coach of the Year. I predicted Michael Malone to win this. Why? We were coming off the finals run, and I will also say a lot of recency bias went into a lot of my predictions. That especially goes for who I had at number 2. But I expected Michael Malone to win this from the main standpoint is that most of the Coach of the Year winners, as of recent, are either the coaches that have the top-seeded team, which I expected the Nuggets to be that again, or a team that has a dramatic jump, which, if you look at the 3 finals that ended up being in the finalists, they had a dramatic jump, as well as being the top-seeded team, so I didn't expect that. So the actual Coach of the Year went to Mark Daigneault. Can't really argue it, but my 2 and 3 were Eric Spoelstra and Ime Udoka. So I will give a heads up, and the WTF head scratcher has to do with another Miami Heat player down the line. But again, coming off that finals run, the Heat going into this season did not have as good of a roster as the damn finals run, and I was like, they're going to have to do an extreme lot to carry this roster and to be productive. And obviously that wasn't really the case. And I thought way too highly of them, especially coming off the finals run. And to be fair, Eric Spoelstra is a great coach, and it's always a joke now that like he can win games with people you don't even know. So at some point, I feel that these two probably should have got a Coach of the Year, but I think it's a little bit too late for that because the players on their team are going to get more credit than they do. Ime Udoka, I thought the Rockets were going to have a bigger jump than they did, or they were going to be a better team than they've been the past previous years. And to be fair, I think Udoka will be a better candidate for this award next season. Sixth Man of the Year. Very upset with this one because I feel that we were wrong with this. I predicted Malik Monk. I saw what he did in the playoffs. I thought it was going to carry over in the regular season, and it did, definitely. The other 2 people I had were Bobby Portis and Emmanuel Quickley. To be fair, I did not expect the Knicks to trade Emmanuel Quickley, and so his days of being a 6-man were almost done once he got traded to the Raptors. And Bobby Portis did finish 3rd, and Malik Monk did finish 2nd, with Naz Reid winning the award. I will be the hate. Look, I'm not going to say Naz Reid doesn't deserve it because he definitely played great this year, and the Timberwolves were a very good team. But I definitely feel that this had to do with Malik Monk missing the last couple of weeks, that he didn't win this, and that kind of sucks. Defensive Player of the Year, I will go ahead and say this was a homer pick. And I wanted Jaren Jackson. I thought Jaren Jackson Jr. was going to repeat. From the main standpoint of Dylan Brooks had just left the Grizzlies, They did add Marcus Smart, but I thought Jaren would be doing a lot more defensively for the Grizzlies with his stats either staying the same, which were great, or getting better, and they essentially did stay the same, with my 2 and 3 being Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo, who both of these guys have consistently been in the race for Defensive Player of the Year the past couple of seasons with not ever winning the award, and we don't know if and when that day is going to come. I will say, going into the season, did not expect Rudy Gobert to win this award again. I will 100% say I thought that at the time. The Timberwolves just were in such a questionable spot going into the season, and I just did not see this effect and change happen. I did expect them to be a little bit better, considering they would have timing to play, but him being Defensive Player of the Year, again, I didn't see that happen. With Bam Adebayo and Victor Wembanyama coming close, if they would have gave Wemby this award, I would not have argued it, and I will go ahead and say it now, and I'll probably say it in future videos. I will not be surprised if Wemby wins like 3 of the next 5 Defensive Player of the Year awards. So, there's that. Clutch Player of the Year, I had Luka, Shea, and Halliburton. All 3 had a good argument and case that you can make, with Steph, DeMar, and Shea being the finalist and Curry winning the award. So, I'm not really going to be that upset with this. Now, we get to the Most Improved Player award. I don't know how to feel about this award because it is just so all over the place. And I did say I had a WTF pick. I think I had 2, because there's one on here that you were probably like, what the absolute hell? Where I have another one later on. But I had Franz Wagner winning this award. I saw a lot of people having him win this as well. Now, I made a video last year, and it's something that I've always thought of, and I'm very proud of, and I didn't even follow the criteria, but it was essentially me talking about the Most Improved Player award. And essentially, if you look at the trend, it's either someone that is now in the starting lineup that hadn't always been, a first-time All-Star, or someone that is still on a rookie contract. And when you look at all of the finalists, almost all of them fit some type of that mold. Whereas the people I had nominated, they got nowhere near. But like I said, I expected Franz and the Magic to have a big jump, which they did. Granted, if you're not counting Game 7 of the playoffs, I think Franz could have been a good candidate for this, and I definitely could see him being back in this race next season. At 2, I had Benedict Mathurin, just because I expected him to overtake Buddy Hield's minutes and time with the Pacers. And once Buddy Hield was actually traded from the Pacers, he had a season-ending injury and never really got that chance to do it. So, again, I think Mathurin has a good case for this next season. Now, 3, 4, and 5 are what the hell. Jordan Poole. A lot of y'all expected it. He was going to have unlimited touches and just a bigger role with the Wizards, and the bigger role kind of shrunk him down a little bit, and nothing really came of it. It kind of sucked. The WTF pick, Saddiq Bey. He did not play a lot this season. My thought process was they just traded John Collins. They gave up a lot of second-round picks to get Saddiq Bey at that previous trade deadline, and I thought he was going to overtake John Collins' role a little bit. Now, if I would have had Jalen Johnson, it would have been like I was right there, because you could say Jalen Johnson should have got this over Saddiq, but again, it is what it is. Last nominee I had was Roy Hachimura. I mainly did this because this is the opposite of a homer pick. I saw him torch my Memphis Grizzlies in the playoffs. I thought he was going to get a lot more minutes with the Lakers and a lot more of a spotlight and shine with the Lakers. And it was just such a questionable year for a lot of the Lakers players that it is what it is. With Maxey winning the award, like I said, he's still on his rookie contract and he was a first-time All-Star. Kobe White got a consistent role in the starting lineup. He's not on his rookie contract still, and he's not. He might still be on his rookie contract, I actually think. Because I keep playing 2K. He might have got an extension. I think he did get an extension, so I was wrong with that. I just had a WTF because I was thinking it was 2K. Sengun, still on a rookie contract, consistent starter. It is a bit funny looking at it now that the Rockets really wanted Brook Lopez, and what effect that would have had on their team if they did end up getting Brook Lopez at the beginning of this season. Something to think about. Jalen Williams and Jalen Brunson. With Brunson being a first-time All-Star, but he was consistent starter last season. And Jalen Williams, consistent starter, and still on his rookie contract. Now, the MVP award. This is the other WTF thing that I had. And to be fair, looking at it now, it's not that big of a deal because I had him at 5 for the MVP, but I predicted Jimmy Butler from the same standpoint that I thought the Heat just did not have a good a team going into this season as they did last year that went to the finals. And I thought that they were going to have a better approach in the regular season and a lot of what they did in the playoffs and the finals would carry over to the regular season. Like I said, grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter, but the guy I was like debating, do I put him or this guy? That other guy I was considering was Shea, and he ended up being second place, and a lot of people think that he actually should have got the award. So it would have been nice if I had all three of the finalists there, but I didn't. It ain't that bad. I also had Luka on here. I did have Jokic at 2. I predicted Giannis. I thought the Bucks were going to be... It was going to be a redemption season for them, and it was going to be a case of we remember who the hell Giannis was, especially after the Damian Lillard trade, and he's going to dominate offensively, and with Drew Holiday being gone, he was going to carry and do a lot more for the defense, and the Bucks just had a season from hell. That is just the best way to put it. A season from hell where some of that stuff that happened, they could have prevented. I had Jokic at 2 because he is the best player in the league, but we had just came off last season where he didn't even get the award because of some hater-ass shit. Let's just put it that way. And I did have Curry at 3 because I thought he was going to carry the Warriors to being back as a dominant team. Well, not dominant, but better team. And he tried his best to carry this team, but they kept giving him bull crap after bull crap to deal with. And to be fair, that did get him the Clutch Player of the Year award. So there's that. But Jokic won his 3rd MVP. I had him at 2. If you notice, I did not have Embiid on here. And that was mainly because if you remember the discourse after the finals or even after Embiid got eliminated from the playoffs, it was like, how the hell did he win the MVP? Why the hell did he get MVP? And it's not even a case like, he definitely deserved the MVP. He definitely did. But it's like, people that were saying that are people that voted and have the chance to affect the damn MVP award. So I thought it was going to happen again. So that's why I didn't even have Embiid as on my list, because he had just won it, and after winning it, people were questioning it and whatnot, and I thought that was going to screw his chances up. So I would give Embiid more credit than I probably should have. But now we get to the part that I'm interested in. This is my part of it. So we're going to write down the time, that way y'all could jot right down to it. The AHS NBA Awards. Like I said, I think I'm going to come up with a better name for it, but for now, we're just going to call them the AHS Awards. So, for the first ever one, we have 5 awards. I think that every year, I'm going to add an award until, it gets... I think the limit I would go to is 10. But for this first year, we had 5. And each of the awards are named after a player, and I'll explain why once we get to it. So the first award that I had was the Bruce Brown Award, the most effective offseason acquisition. And like I said, I mainly named it the Bruce Brown Award because he had such an impact for the Nuggets in winning the finals. And essentially, I was kind of like, hypothetically speaking, the best way that I can judge this is whatever team goes to the finals, whoever wins and has the new player that had that Bruce Brown effect, it would kind of fit that. Now, obviously, we haven't made it to the finals yet, and a lot of the teams that are in playoff hunt still, a lot of their moves and players that they have weren't acquired in the offseason, so it kind of there's a little bit of that. But this is a tie. It is very much a tie for who I'm giving this award. But I will say, I did predict these winners back then. I thought this was going to go to Damian Lillard. Like I said, I thought the Bucks were going to dominate and have a season of redemption. That was just not the case. Maybe next year. I gave an honorable mention to Marcus Smart. That was just a homer pick for my Grizzlies. I'm calling this a tie between Kristaps Porzingis and Dante DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo was a great signing from the Knicks. It's a cool story that he is reunited with Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson. And in these playoffs, those three we've had to hear about Villanova and them playing at Villanova so much that I ain't gonna lie, I'm kind of a little sick of it, but at least they're given a reason to hear about it consistently, and DiVincenzo has been great in these playoffs, and has had a better role with the Knicks than he has in most recent years. But with Porzingis and the Celtics, and then you can even throw Holiday in there, I guess, but it's just like, the Celtics were a way more dominant team than they've been the past couple seasons. So that's why I declared it a tie. But if I had to choose one, I think I would lead towards DiVincenzo more because he does fit that Bruce Brown role a little bit more. So there we go. The first Bruce Brown Award winner is Dante DiVincenzo as well as Kristaps Porzingis. Now, the James Harden Award. Now, the original idea with this was what's the best way to put this? When I made the prediction, I was like, this player won't be on this team at the deadline. So it's going to be a combination of that / player I'd like to see on a new team, which I also did say that then, but it was more so the deadline part. So it's a 2-in-1 situation. So I gave one prediction, one definite, with 2 honorable mentions, with one of the honorable mentions actually getting traded. So I thought this was going to go to DeMar DeRozan. My honorable mentions were Chris Paul and Pascal Siakam. Like I said, thank you, Toronto, for trading Siakam and moving on to your rebuild. So I was 1/3 right. Chris Paul, I was like, if the Warriors just need to push the red button and move into a different direction, this is the best way to do it, is trading Chris Paul, because he wasn't really a part of their core. And I thought there was a case that some team might have needed Chris Paul, but he got injured, never really got to that situation. DeMar and the Bulls, a lot of fans are ready to see them in a different direction. So that's why I thought he was going to get traded by the deadline, and that just wasn't the case. So I'm going to give DeMar this reward still. Now, I have 2 other honorable mentions, that being Brandon Ingram and Trae Young, because both of these guys, or Trae Young's case, the Hawks didn't even make the playoffs, so it's kind of hard. I ain't gonna lie, it is getting hot. I just had to wipe the sweat away. But Trae Young's case, the Hawks now have the number 1 pick. I have no clue what the hell to expect them to do. But with Brandon Ingram's case, the Pelicans are just kind of stuck in this weird position that I'll talk about in a minute, spoiler alert, to where a lot of people are expecting him to be moved, and, it might be a crazy offseason for some of these teams. But the first ever James Harden Award winner, I'm giving to DeMar DeRozan. And again, the reason I called it the James Harden Award is because we're just come off several seasons of him switching teams, and so it kind of feels like it fits. Now, the next award, the Ja Morant Award. And essentially, I named it the Ja Morant Award because it was the player I was most excited to see play. So it's a combination of the player I'm most excited to see play, along as a little bit of a comeback of the year award. So my prediction for this award was 100% right. I said Kyrie Irving. I have been on the record and said it several times, just like, if Kyrie played, he would prove that he was a top player, where if you remember prior to this season, just several situations occurred that kept him from playing on the court. And I was like, this year, I'm hoping that we could just see him play on the court and prove himself to be a top player. And now the Mavericks are in the playoffs still, and he's being one of the best players in the playoffs. So the first ever Ja Morant Award winner, the player I was most excited to see / the comeback of the year award, goes to Kyrie Irving. I will say my honorable mention was the Portland Trail Blazers, because they had moved on from Damian Lillard. I wanted to see what Anthony Simons and Shaedon Sharpe would do, and it just kind of seemed like that. And even to a case, what DeAndre Ayton would do, but injuries and just several things got in their way from that happening. So my honorable mention doesn't even really matter in that case. Now, this one is historically funny. The Talen Horton-Tucker Award. Now, a lot of times I'm positive on this channel and not really a hater, but this is a case of me being a hater. Not because it's the most overrated. And again, it's from October 2023 to now. And it's just, the best way I can describe it is, how highly they were talked about then, are they still talked about at that same level? And I gave 3 names. 2 of those guys are not talked about like how they were then, where one propelled themselves to a higher level, and I'll give credit then. But the reason this is named the THT Award, the Talen Horton-Tucker Award, and I want to put this in the comments down below because, I just want y'all to see it for yourself. But a couple years ago, this is the 2021-22 season, there was an article wrote about the 24 under 24 best in top 24 players under the age of 24, and Taylor Horton-Tucker was ranked higher than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on this list. And this is the same season where the Lakers acquired Russell Westbrook and several other guys, and just a lot happened. And a lot of people thought the X factor of the team would be THT, and it just was not the effing case. And a lot of people were talking highly about him just for him to get traded the next year. So that is why this is named the Taylor Horton-Tucker Award. My prediction for this was another Laker, and it was Austin Reeves, because he had just came off the playoffs and he was hitting half-court shots and going crazy. And I was just like, the honeymoon phase is going to be over, I feel. So the two honorable mentions I gave, and I at least had good reason to give it, were Josh Giddey and Jalen Williams. And my thought process was, they're adding Chet Holmgren to this team. I think Chet is going to be the number 2 guy on the Thunder, while Giddey and Williams kind of were on the same level as the number 2 guy. And I was just like, product-wise and productivity-wise, one of these two are not going to be at the same level. Now, Jalen Williams was the guy that elevated himself and was better, where with Giddey, you could be the judge. You ain't getting no comment out of me, but you could be the judge, but I was right. So, you could say this is another tie for the first THT award winner with Austin Reeves and Josh Giddey. As now we move on to our last award, and it's a very fitting title, the Phoenix Suns Award. And it's very similar to the James Harden Award, but it's a whole team. Now, the reason I named this the Phoenix Suns Award is the team that I want to see make the most changes. Now, the reason it's named the Phoenix Suns Award, and this is going back and further back, is prior to acquiring Kevin Durant, I hated watching the Suns play because they were injured. They had Devin Booker and Chris Paul, and it just was essentially the Mikal Bridges show. That the Mikal Bridges show got a lot better once he got traded to Brooklyn. But I was like, this team needs to make a freaking trade. And then they obviously did, getting Kevin Durant. Where again, now, I said it's kind of a fitting name because we're still talking about them in the same situation. Now, I will say my prediction was the New Orleans Pelicans, because we had just came off another season of them not making the playoffs and Zion being hurt. And I will say, regular season-wise, they did get a big change, and that was Zion playing more games, but it literally got flushed down the toilet once the play-in happened, and Zion never got to play again, and that just sucked. So they did get that change, but now, again, we're back in this situation to where they can potentially trade Brandon Ingram. There are several positions that could change. They could get a center upgrade. They can get a point guard upgrade, but they need to more than likely keep Zion, Herb Jones, and Trey Murphy on this team. So there's a lot of changes that can happen there. So the Pelicans, I will give this award to, with also the honorable mention being the Chicago Bulls. The main reason I didn't want to give them this award is because I essentially did and said a lot of the same thing with the DeMar DeRozan, James Harden Award situation. So there's that, with several honorable mentions here. The Atlanta Hawks, the Lakers, and the Suns. I think the Lakers are going to make some type of change, but more than likely the LeBron factor will have to do with that. The Suns, I would really like it if they traded Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, but I just think that they are going to be so committed to making that work that they're going to be stubborn and not make that change yet. And the Hawks got the number 1 pick. I have no clue what to expect for that. So, overall wise, I think I did a pretty decent job. I will also say this. I didn't get the MVP award winner right. But, Jokic's first year that he won the award, I predicted Jokic to win. The next season, I predicted Stephen Curry, because that was the year that the Warriors were finally healthy and whatnot. And for the first 2 months of the season, that looked like a great case, because this is when Steph was about to break the 3-point record, and a lot of attention was going to the Warriors and Curry, but then he got injured, so he didn't really get a chance after that. But I was very close. The next year, I predicted Embiid, because we just came off back-to-back years of Jokic winning the award with Embiid coming very close. So I was right there. I was wrong this year, so next year I should be right, because it's on and off again. So I will be predicting John Morant, But we'll come to those award predictions and those situations in October, maybe September. So I'm sweating. I got to go blow my nose. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. You stay safe. You like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.